The coronavirus has not only impacted our lives, it's also impacted the lives of the bad guys. How do I know? We're seeing a new type of identity theft, and one that cannot be detected by credit monitoring. So what is it? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome to the Carrie Kursky Show, your partner in the fight against identity theft, fraud, and cyber threats. I'm your host, Carrie Kursky. So in 2019, I received a call from an identity theft victim. We offer a free initial case evaluation, so that way we can determine if there's additional work that needs to be done and if we are the best people suited to help victims with what needs to be done to restore their identity. So I offered to her, come in, meet with me, let me take a look at everything that you have, and let's see, what steps need to be taken to restore your identity. So she came in and brought all the paperwork with her, and I always like to start with, tell me what made you think you became a victim. Where did it start? What was the first red flag? And she showed me a letter that she received from Wells Fargo stating that they were closing her account due to suspicious activity. But here's the thing, she's never had an account with Wells Fargo. So I asked her, okay, so what have you done so far? She said, well, I tried calling Wells Fargo and I was on the forever hold trying to get to a human. They kept transferring me from person to person to person. And eventually, after a ridiculous amount of time, they disconnected my call. I said, well, unfortunately, that's kind of common. I said, what did you do next? So she said, well, I decided to go down to the local branch. Now, a lot of people would have just said, forget it, I'm going to rip this up. It has nothing to do with me. I don't have an account at Wells Fargo. I'm not going to worry about it. But luckily, she had enough perseverance to take it to the next step. So she walked into her local branch. This is before Corona, before any of the lockdowns, shutdowns, any of the other stuff. So this was last year, late summer, early fall. So she walked into the Wells Fargo branch and said, I need to speak with someone. So she spoke with, it was either the branch manager or representative. The titles are relevant right now. But anyway, she spoke with a representative, presented the letter, and said, I've never had an account with you. Tell me what's going on. So, of course, the representative asked her to have form of ID. She showed her driver's license. And as a side note, it really irritates me that identity thieves can open these accounts willy-nilly all day long with ease, but yet when a victim is trying to recover from it, they have to jump through hoops to prove their identity just to get the fraudulent accounts closed. But anyways, I digress. Let's get back to the story. It's just a little pet peeve of mine. So anyways, they asked to see her ID. She proved who she was. So the banker pulled up on the computer, and lo and behold, she had not only a checking account, but also a savings account. So they said, well, let me print out the statements and we can go over everything. So they printed out the prior month statements. It was like 2, maybe 3 months worth of statements. And what she discovered shocked her. That initially $30,000 was put into one of the accounts, and as soon as the money was put in, it was being dispersed to another 8 to 12 different accounts, including brokerage firms, other banks, online banking, cryptocurrency accounts, Google Ads, and other e-commerce type of online websites and accounts. So it'd be 5,000 here, 1,000 here, 2,000 there, various dollar amounts to basically out of the $30,000 that initially deposited, maybe $5,000 was left in the account. Therefore, that's why the bank had closed it due to suspicious activity, because it was meeting all the hallmarks of fraud and potential money laundering. That's why she got the letter. So the banker gave her all the documentation and she said, well, I'm going to close this account. What do I need to do? So they had her fill out some forms, told her she needed to get a police report. And here's the kicker. The banker ended up giving her a check for the remaining $5,000 that was in the account. She's like, but that's not my money. I don't want it. He said, well, it's in your name. The account's in your name. We can't keep it. So you have to take this check. Yeah, crazy, I know. But anyways, I advised her, don't cash the check, hang on to it, put it somewhere, because someone along the way is going to do an investigation and they're going to try to recover those funds. I said, so just put the check away with all of your paperwork, don't cash it, don't do anything with it. And so we looked through the bank statements and we found numerous other accounts that were opened, or where the money was being transferred to. And remember, this was a checking and a savings account. There were 2 separate accounts, and both of those had money put into them and money was being dispersed out to other accounts. So by lo and behold, I think the time we were done with just looking at these 2 Wells Fargo accounts, I want to say it was anywhere from maybe 15 to 30 accounts. And so I said, well, have you contacted these organizations? She said, no, not yet. So, we started contacting the organizations and found out that they too had accounts using her identity. So not only was this original account set up using her information, but the accounts where the money was being transferred to were also being set up under her identity. So we're looking at this from a traditional identity theft perspective. And I said, okay, well, have you checked your credit reports? Yes. Are there any hard inquiries, any new credit accounts? No, there's nothing wrong with the credit reports. I said, well, have you checked all of your bank and brokerage accounts, making sure that the $30,000 didn't get transferred out of one of your accounts and put into this new account? She said, no, all of my assets are there. Nothing's been touched. Nothing's been compromised. No, new credit accounts, no takeover of her current financial accounts, any of the traditional identity theft that we have seen, none of that was occurring. They just opened a checking and a savings account, put money in, moved money out. That was it. Now, because this is involving bank accounts, checking and savings accounts, they usually don't pull a credit report to open a bank account. Therefore, credit monitoring will not detect it, and you will not be notified. If she would not have gotten this letter from Wells Fargo, she never would have known that this was even happening. So we're trying to figure out, what is the motive? Why are they doing this? Because bad guys always had a motive, and it's always for quick money. Well, we weren't seeing that here. What we discovered is the bad guys were using her information to create accounts so that they could launder money. Now, this was last year, late spring, early fall, or late summer, early fall. And that's when we first started seeing it. And I was like, okay, well, maybe this is a fluke, or maybe this could be the start of a new trend. We'll just have to kind of see what happened. Flash forward to 2020, the year of chaos. Coronavirus hits. Businesses have to be shut down, primarily the services industry, bars, restaurants, businesses that involve a lot of quick, easy cash, a lot of turnover, businesses that also are used by bad guys for money laundering. So if the legitimate businesses are shut down and the businesses used by bad guys for money laundering are shut down, well, they have to find another way to launder the money. And how are they doing it? They're using victims' identities to create checking and savings accounts, e-commerce accounts, Google ads, cryptocurrency accounts, all different types of financial accounts so that they could launder money using a victim's identity. Now, what happens here? What are the repercussions? Well, in addition to her having to contact every single bank and every single organization that had an account with her information on it and report it as fraud, remember she got that letter from Wells Fargo saying we're closing your account due to suspicious activity? Well, that's because the banks are required to file a SARS report. It's a suspicious activity report, and that gets reported to FinCEN. Well, her account was labeled as suspected for fraud. That means there was a SARS report most likely filed. Well, she disputed it with Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo closed the fraudulent account. But did they rescind or amend that SARS report? If not, that's still out there with her information on it. And because it would be $30,000 deposited into this account initially for just one of them, the checking account, banks are required to notify the IRS of any deposits greater than $10,000. So that means all these accounts where the money's being transferred in, where they're receiving deposits of more than $10,000, that's all getting reported to the IRS. Is she going to end up being audited? Because if she shows she makes X, but there's more than X being deposited into these accounts, so the IRS is going to say something's going on here and you're not reporting all your income or you're not paying us enough taxes. That could result in an audit. So we tried reaching out to the IRS to get ahead of this, and basically they're like, we've never seen this before, we don't know what to do. So they advised her to fill out an identity theft affidavit. That's form 14039, I believe it's 039. But anyways, it's the IRS identity theft affidavit saying she was a victim of identity theft, and hopefully that will flag her account. So when they get those reports in about these fraudulent deposits, that she won't be triggered for an audit. So we're just going to have to kind of wait and see what happens. And I'm hoping that they improve the process for future victims. So anyways, getting back to Corona and the bad guys using money laundering, soon as I saw that the businesses are being shut down and it was impacting friends, family, relatives, clients, I have a lot of them that work in the service industry or they own various businesses within the services industry, I started fearing for them, but I also feared for something else. I knew the bad guys were going to start doing more money laundering, using identity theft as a means to open accounts. Sure enough, within the last couple of months, so we're in August right now, I would say in June, started getting calls, more in July, now even more in August. So we're getting a call a week from a victim whose information was used to open a checking or savings account with the purpose of money laundering by the bad guys. So identity theft, it's more than just credit. If you only have credit monitoring, you're thinking, oh, I'm good to go. And if you think I have a credit freeze, I have everything protected, wrong. A credit freeze does nothing for this because it's not credit related. Now, there is an option that you can use. It's called check system. So check systems does for the banking industry kind of what the credit bureaus do for the credit industry. It allows the bank to look at your banking history before they decide if they want to open an account or not for you. So you can request your check systems report, and you can also place a freeze on your check systems report. Now, it's not a guarantee because not every bank uses check systems and not every bank pulls the report before they open an account, but it is something that you can put in place to try to minimize the impact of money laundering identity theft. How do you do it? Well, on my blog, there's a full article about exactly what happened to this victim, more information, and I have all the links on there about how to get your check systems report and how to do a freeze and everything else that you need to know. So, warning signs to look out for. If you get a letter in the mail saying your bank account's being suspended due to suspicious activity or it's being closed, and it's from a bank that you've never had an account with, don't dismiss it. Don't think it's a scam letter and throw it away. Contact that bank. What I'm finding is that with disputing this stuff, because it's involving bank accounts, most of the banks will not allow you to do it by phone, where if it's a credit account, you can call, talk to the fraud department, and you can dispute a lot of this on the phone. Because it's a bank account, they're requiring you to go in and visit the local branch. So before you go into your local branch, call the local branch and see if you can schedule an appointment. Because of the coronavirus, some of them have very limited hours or they're by appointment only. So save yourself a trip. Call first and schedule an appointment, explain what happened, and ask what information you need to prove that you are you. Another option, if you are a victim of money laundering, identity theft, or any kind of identity theft, Kursky Group, we have been working with identity theft victims for nearly 15 years, and we do offer a free initial case evaluation. Many times people come to us because they just want a second opinion. They're like, well, I think I did everything. Can you just check and make sure I've done everything I need to do for restoring my identity? And there might be one or two things, and we'll just send you a quick link of here, go do this and finish this. But for other people, it might be more involved. It could be a greater problem than they actually think it is. In that case, we get involved and we work on behalf of the victims to help restore their identity. So doesn't cost you anything to get a second opinion. So if you're a victim and you want us to take a look and see what happened and see what you've done and see if there's anything else that needs to be done, you can give us a call, 239-435-9111, or visit our website and shoot us an email. But we're happy to help you because this stuff is becoming more and more complicated. And as legitimate businesses are being shut down or they are being limited in their ability to generate revenue, so are the bad guys. So just like legitimate businesses are having to be creative and find new ways to generate additional revenue, so are the bad guys. And the result of that is now money laundering, identity theft. If you have any questions, put them in the comment below. If it's happened to you, tell me what happened to you. What was your red flag? What did you get? I want to hear from you. You can put in the comments below, or you can always send me an email, or even on the blog, you can post comments there. So don't forget, visit carriekursky.com. Check out the blog post, the article on this, so you can get the links, get your check systems report, and also do the freeze. And while you're there, check out some of the other resources and articles, and you can also sign up for my free newsletter where we keep you informed of the threats that are happening out there. So until next time, stay safe.